So I know, Pay, I know you're on like 37 podcasts a week. Have you guys done any mock drafts yet?
Not yet. We are planning some though, and I'm not. I'm dreading the day.
Okay.
Uh, I'm
It makes
dreading
me
the
feel
day.
good, man. I'm anti mock draft. I listen to a couple Bengals podcasts that have been doing one a week at least for over a month before the
No,
combine. Before the
no.
combine, doing mock drafts. Tim, Tim's been doing 5 a day, and he sends them all
Hell,
to me. What?
hell no, hell no! Don't you be spreading those lies. I hate mock drafts as much as you do. It's like, you know
Yeah,
what? You put your Christmas list together all you want. Why are you wasting that time? You know that's not gonna come true.
Yes, I feel the
yeah,
exact same way, Tim. It is no. It is it's futile, right? It's
yeah,
Yeah,
futile. Why even waste this energy? You think it looks good, but the general manager is going to do something ridiculous, and it's just going
yeah.
to break your heart.
Now,
yep.
I think people come here to take a whole bunch of news and noise and get it compressed down. We try to give them, as you would say in gambling, that white meat is left. We
Hmm.
try to give them the good stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man. I can't. I don't have any. I don't have. I just don't have the patience for mock drafts, and I
It's a waste
just
of
think
time.
really they're just a bunch of bull. All right, Bengals fans, welcome to Running Through the Jungle. I'm your host, Brandon Herriott, with your host, Tim Lyons. Our mainstay, Justin Lacey, who held down for me last week, couldn't be here today. He's actually moving because too many of you fans have been over there knocking on his door trying to get in. He found out he can't do it anymore. His girl's mad. Flock's out there waiting for him. So we got our guy here, our resident homie that represents the Baltimore Ravens over there. You might also catch him representing Chicago, where he's originally from, over on the Bear Claw or the Shy City Bulletin Board.
There you go.
Yes, I had to practice that for 2 months, Tim, to get that. Like, Pay Saunders, welcome to the show. How's it going, Pay?
Man, I can't call it, man. It's a good day, man. We're a month out for the draft. You're almost done with these mocks, right? How you all feeling?
Feeling good, man. I spent a week in Vegas, so I didn't feel good for the first couple of days back, but now I'm feeling pretty good. Getting my sea legs back underneath me. Tim, how's it going out there in the out west?
It's great, man. It's Wednesday today, and tomorrow's my Friday, so I'm taking a nice little 3-day weekend. Happy birthday to my wife tomorrow, or on Friday, excuse me. Happy birthday to her. So we're taking a 3-day weekend and just chillaxing all weekend.
Nice. I like it. You gonna cook for her for a change instead of her cooking for you, or?
You know what? Shut your mouth on that one, because I cook all the time.
Smoked meats. It's smoked meat.
Yeah,
I'll give you
yeah. You
smoked
know
meat.
what?
Yeah, that's correct.
So there was a funny story about that. My wife. I asked her. I said, "Do you want?" Because she loves ribs. She loves ribs. So, and she loves my ribs. I think I make better ribs than where you can go get them at. But I asked her. I said, "Do you want ribs for your birthday?" And she's like, "No," and because it's a Friday. And she's like, "No." I'm like, "What? Why not?" And she's like, "Well, I think I just want a salad." My first response was, "Are you
What?
kidding me? Like, did you lose your damn mind between 45 and 46? Because something's
Wow.
going on here." But anyways, so I have a father-in-law that doesn't really care for ribs and pork and stuff like that. So we're gonna take her out to dinner on Friday
Gotcha.
for her birthday. Yeah.
Maybe are you gonna smoke her a cake for later?
I'm actually smoking. I'm smoking pork belly tomorrow for dinner.
Okay, there you go.
So I'm sure whatever she wants smoked on Saturday or Sunday, I'm happy to do it.
I like it. All right, well, you guys, if you're listening, take a quick second, hit that thumbs up, like, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, share us out there with the world. As
Yes.
I said in the open, we cut through a lot of the BS around here. We just like to get to the point. So, Pay, we're gonna get you in and out today. I know you got a lot going down in Atlanta down there. It looks like you got some good weather. Little
Oh
jealous.
man, but we're about to get our first 80s of the year.
Oh.
Can't wait. About to grill.
I'm jealous. So, with your Ravens, and I listen. I had a great year last year. A little disappointed in the playoffs. Lot going on this offseason.
Mm.
I want to get your impressions and take right now. Free agency, some of the losses they've had, and some of the additions they've had, and where you see them going. How would you grade their free agency right now?
I'm gonna go ahead and answer the big question. I would grade their off season so far to this point as a B minus, maybe C plus. So not overly impressive, but it hasn't been disastrous, which is largely what you want to do with the off season. You don't want to, if you don't, hit home runs. You don't want to also give up home runs. You know what I mean? For baseball reference, opening day is tomorrow.
That's right.
So the biggest acquisition, obviously, is Derrick Henry, King Henry rather. I am a little pessimistic on that. He's got a little, got a lot of wear on his tires, obviously. But with the biggest thing about Derrick Henry, obviously you know the highlights. Obviously you know he's a bell cow. He's the bell cow of all bell cows. But he's always healthy. That's the big thing about King Henry. The Baltimore Ravens have struggled with having health in their running back room. They let go of all those injured running backs. J.K. Dobbins, his career is probably over. Gus Edwards, I think he's in the Bay Area now. Who else? Justice Hill. I think they brought back. I think they retained Justice Hill.
Yeah.
But most of that running back room is gone. I think that's obviously an addition because you got the amazing talent of Derrick Henry. There's also an addition by subtraction. And so it's a double win. The biggest loss as far as playmakers go for the team has been Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham had a great positive impact on the team from a veteran locker room viewpoint. He didn't have the best season by his standards. He's a little long in the tooth as well, but he gave them a lot of leadership. So, and Odell Beckham, he's loved everywhere he goes. So that will be a loss that's felt in the locker room. We won't see it on the field more than likely, but it's definitely something that they're going to feel themselves as they go to camp and have these road trips. Like, man, big bro OBJ is gone.
Yeah, I it's funny because you think back to the OBJ of the throwing the temper tantrum at New York, and kick it and throwing that stuff over, and then all of a sudden you fast forward a couple years, and everybody seems to love him that plays with him, and I think we saw a lot of that on the field, with this Ravens team. I thought more than anywhere that he's been. I really thought him. Tim, I know you had some concerns about some of the offseason things that went on with the Ravens. Anything you want to ask Pay about?
Yeah, a lot of us, we're all football fans, so we pay attention to what's going on. We pay attention even more when it comes to our division itself. I see that you guys had a lot of free agents this year. You guys let a lot of people walk, or you lost them because like Geno Stone coming to the Bengals. Your guys' offensive line wise was my biggest concern. I know you guys re-signed what was his you restructured his contract, the offensive lineman.
Understand.
Oh my Stanley, yes, sorry. And I know Zeitler, ex-Bengal, he went to the Detroit Lions. You traded was it Simpson to the Jets? So
Yeah.
my concern is who do you guys have for offensive line now? Do you guys have an offensive line? I'm just kind of wondering. And then you let Patrick Queen go. He took his walk-in papers. I know your guys' major concern was getting Matabikwe back. Getting him to re-sign. We were hoping he was going to hit free agency and come to be a Bengal, but instead we stole Geno Stone from y'all. So when it comes to your offensive line, that's my major concern for the Ravens. How do you see your offensive line right now?
What a weird year that a Bengals fan's asking about the offensive line security of a Ravens team. I don't. Woo, hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the offensive line has been actually the weak point for the Ravens the entire Lamar Jackson era. It's been, if they hold up, they could be one of the better ones. Is the problem is they're never healthy. Ronnie Stanley, if he goes into camp healthy, which is once in his career, he's one of the better tackles in the league. And now I forget how old he is. I think he's 31 now or 32. One of those. You're gonna have to start making a plan for what you're gonna do for him. As far as the other four linemen, you're right. Mm-hmm. There is going to be a transitional phase this offseason for them. They gotta replace a lot of guys. It's going to be, hopefully, the way I'm looking at it, hopefully this is a part of the plan. They're going to get some guys out that didn't necessarily fit the scheme of the offensive coordinator. Hopefully he's bringing in some leaner guys who can, pass protect and run block the way he wants it to be done. I'm hoping that is the plan. That's just me being optimistic in that with that question. But we'll see. I mean, offensive linemen are a dime a dozen in this league. Not a dime a dozen. I'm sorry. Offensive linemen are a diamond in the rough. They're like NBA. You're always looking for a shooter. Everyone wants a shooter, but they're nowhere to be found. Offensive lineman, a good offensive lineman is very hard to come around in the free agency.
You don't let those go. 3-and-D of the NFL.
You said it. 3-and-D of the NFL. That's why you don't see them on the open market too often. Can you find them in a draft? I don't think the Ravens are going to be in a position to find starters in the draft. They might get lucky on one, but we'll see. We might have to turn, shit into sugar. I don't know how they're going to do it.
Right.
Sugar, was it sugar honey iced tea lemonade? What is it? Sugar honey iced tea. Why am I putting lemonade in there? I'm making an Arnold Palmer. That's a good transition. That's a good transition though. I did want to ask you about the upcoming draft. Like, where do you see, needs and what do you think the Ravens are going to try to accomplish with this upcoming draft? Like, where do you think? One of the things that always fascinates me is, have you put yourself in a position where you can go best player available, or have you pigeonholed yourself to that one of those first two rounds? You got to get blank. So what do you think of their upcoming draft?
I like that. I like the idea of you don't pigeonhole yourself into a box. You don't want to put yourself in a box that we have to come away with this player no matter what. I think you want to let the chips fall where they may and take the best player on the board. And maybe you draft up for a special talent that falls too close to you. Those are special situations. For the Ravens, they really are, they really don't have any holes at key areas. They have their tackle, Ronnie Stanley, even though he is a little longer than tooth. They have their quarterback. They have their running back. They have their defensive pass rusher. They have their linebacker. They even got the safety. All of those key areas are taken care of. They got their corner. So they're in a position to just go ahead and see what happens when you come around that corner. And I think they draft 20. No, they draft 30th. The Ravens draft 30th. So when the draft gets around 24, 25, they can really just start saying like, all right, you know what, player A right here, he jumped off his measurables jumped off the paper to us. Let's hope he falls. Or player B, plays on the other side of the ball. Same difference. We like the way he looks. We think he could be a Baltimore Raven for his prime. He'll look good in black and purple. I think the Ravens are excellently set up to just draft whoever's there. They can just get the best guy available. I would like for them to see. What was my hope that maybe somebody like maybe Chop Robinson or somebody falls to them. That might be a little pie in the sky. But we'll see. It's at that far back in the first round. A lot of things could happen.
I do want to say, as a Bengals fan, I prefer you not to get the second coming of T Sizzle in this draft. That'd be fine if you just pass that right on up. Tim, what are your thoughts on the draft? Do you agree with them, or do you think that do you need to go after an offensive lineman, or do you think he's right? Just take it as it comes.
I don't know. Looking at what you guys gave up this offseason and what you guys have done this offseason, I guess if I was a Ravens fan, or even we'll just say situation is I'm the owner, I'm the GM of the Baltimore Ravens, and I'm looking at my offensive line. Of course I'm going to measure. We want somebody that's going to be able to make holes for Derrick Henry, even though Derrick Henry's known to make holes himself, but also somebody to protect Lamar Jackson. Even though Lamar Jackson is an improviser and he'll take off running on you in 5 seconds, but still you want some good offensive linemen. So I would say my top priority would be an offensive lineman, but like Pay was saying, best available at the time. Is it going to be it? They got pick 30, so there's a possibility you guys could get a get a good offensive lineman in this draft in the first round. Because we don't know how this is going to go. We're all assuming that it's going to go quarterback, wide receivers. Maybe an offensive lineman in there, maybe a defensive lineman in there. We're all assuming this, and the draft is the draft. We don't know how the hell it's going to go. But like I said, if I was the GM for the Baltimore Ravens, if Mims or somebody's out there, that you can get, or one of the I'm not even going to try pronouncing their names. The three guys.
There we go.
Oregon State guy,
all right,
Penn State, and
right next to you. There you go.
Washington. Those three guys, those offensive
tackles?
linemen. Yes, those tackles.
Well, the one from Washington can play guard as well.
Yeah, he can play guard as well.
The first two guys, the Penn State and Tag, I'm not going to say their names. I'm not going to disrespect them and their family by butchering their names. Mm-hmm. I think if it will be a crazy night if either one of them is still on the board at 15. So hoping they make it to 30. Wow.
Right, but you could also end up getting Mims later down. Mims. You can get him later on down the road. Maybe he might fall down to 30. Maybe. I'm just saying, maybe. But if not, like I said, then you come with the best available. What are you going to go after? You're going to go after a deep, a corner, linebacker. Which way you guys are going to go, and I guess we'll see how it plays out on April 25th.
One thing I wholeheartedly agree with you, though. Rarely would I move up in the draft. I would be more likely to move back in the draft for extra draft choices.
Yeah.
Especially when you get into the point where the Ravens and the Bengals right now are both guys that paying quarterbacks top 3, contracts in the league.
Top 2.
Yeah. Are they still top 2? Give it a minute.
Give it a minute.
The thing is, Yeah, give it a minute.
Isn't it Burrow, Herbert, and Lamar?
That's what I thought Herbert was in there.
I don't. Well, I know Lamar had the total dollars. No, Burrow passed him up on total dollars. I think he has the AAV too.
I don't think he had quite as much guaranteed.
Yeah,
I could be wrong now. But
so I think
regardless, once you get into that top tier bracket, you got to start figuring those draft picks get real important. Those second, third, fourth round draft choices that can be players for you get real important. I don't know that. I don't think there's anybody I would move up in the draft for the Bengals on 18. You know, I mean, if I maybe one somewhere, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Bowers maybe. Okay, Bowers maybe. If it was only going up, since we got an extra third round pick now, if we could get up an extra couple, you know, in front of an extra couple spots and possibly get Bowers, I might do that. But for the most part, I agree with you. So the last thing I kind of want to talk to you about before we let you get back to living life down there in Atlanta, enjoying that sun. Just kind of the state of the union in AFC North. I refrain from making a joke about a team that we like to hate on the same way because I do remember somebody in division jumping over us and trading up out of character for them to grab Devin Bush. That worked out great. But what do you think about the state of the AFC North as a whole in general? Like as far as what the offseason, you know, last year, all 4 teams finished with a winning record. I think one of them finished with the starting quarterback they started with. So just what do you think in general about the AFC North going into this next year?
I think this is actually the best division in football. Just got better, honestly. And I think the offseason of last season for the division as a whole was a lot of smoke screens, a lot of moves being made, but not a lot of substance to them. And I'm speaking about that team that shall remain nameless. A lot of stuff being done, but not a lot of substance. This offseason, there's a lot of substance from every team minus the Browns. The Browns' biggest thing they've done is they brought in Vrabel as a helper, as a gopher. I don't,
special assistant, I think he is.
Special assistant, which is, should I fire my coach?
Looking over the coach's shoulder, I believe.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing they've done. As far as the Bengals, Ravens,
Jerry Jeudy,
just a guy.
Shout out to one of the toughest wide receivers ever to lace them up.
True that. The other 3 teams in the division, Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, everything they've done so far, I'm impressed. I mean, even though the Ravens haven't done much, making sure Matabuke doesn't leave Baltimore is a massive win. Yeah. Making sure, even improving a running game that really is really already amazing, but you just improved it on even is only on namesake alone is an improvement. Can't disagree with that in any stretch of the way. The Steelers' biggest issue was their quarterback room. Their quarterback room was horrendous going into last season and all through last season. And they got all that dead weight up out of there and got 2 better quarterbacks, even though one of them, I feel, is really a journeyman at this point in his career. But he's better than the quarterbacks that he had last year.
Much better. In fact, he's got a history of being a locker room. I don't want to use the C word, but he's got a history of being a locker room conundrum. I'm gonna use that C word. The guys that's leaving out, he's actually a locker room cancer. He's actually a guy that you want to get up out of there. They were nice to even keep him around as long as he did. I thought maybe that C word was corny.
That's another good one.
A little bit corny.
Locker room cornball. And then they traded. They fleeced another team in the NFC North and got another good quarterback. So just by that, and they got 2 quarterbacks for cheap. Just that alone makes them a better team. Now all they gotta do is put it together. Now, I do think that just this offseason alone, those 3 teams I just named, they're gonna get a lot better. Of course, the Bengals are gonna be better with health, returning health. They're gonna get good. I'm not sure what are you all gonna do with
T
Higgins. Yes, I'm not sure what's going to happen on that front just yet. I mean, you all did tag him, so if you all did end up trading him, you're going to get a lot in return for him. You're going to get a first and a third, right?
Well, I don't think we're going to. I think the market, because of this wide receiver class, isn't there. Let stop me if you've heard this one. The trade value we thought we were going to get for our player is not there. So rather than just giving him to somebody's for a 6th round, possibly 4th round pick, we're probably just going to say play this 1 year and see you later.
See,
that's my
but with the tag rules as they are, if you have to get a first and a third thing because of the tag you put on an exclusive, right? So that's a first and a third anyway. So as you said, that this is the deep wide receiver class. No one's going to trade for a wide receiver right now when they got all these young bucks available. Guess what? Put them stripes back on.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, I was the tag and trade him, but I don't think I'm going to get my wish. But listen, man, I think we agree with you. I think the AFC North, I think it's the best division in football. I think we overtook the West last year, and I think it's going to stay like that for the next couple years, man. There's some young bucks making some moves over there. And for whatever reason, man, those guys in black and gold just always hang around. They're always around. Just don't leave. So before we let you go and get back to your evening, Pater is in hibernation for the off season. But I'm going to ask you to bring it out one time. Tomorrow night, are your boys going to cover -4.5? North Carolina playing Alabama -4.5 over under 173.5. What are your thoughts?
I do like the over 173.5. No. I like the over on the line 4.5. I like the under on the 173.
Okay.
Those 2 lines, that's the payday special. Now, as far as who wins the game, it's Carolina, baby.
Hey man, I've been riding with them so far. Vegas and North Carolina had me on some betting slips. Hey, we appreciate you stopping through, sharing some wisdom with us. Tell everybody where they can catch you at.
I mean, I'm everywhere, like you said. On YouTube, I'm at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan. Everywhere else you get your podcast, that's YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify. We're all there at the Bear Claw Podcast and the Shy City Bulletin Board. You can catch those same shows with clips and everything else on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. Bring your friends because we love all the views.
Yeah, it's a good stuff too, man. It's one of the few, even outside of the division, even over in the other conference, I still catch a lot of your Bear Claws. They're fun. It's a good time. Episode 69. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's one of my favorites. All right, man. We appreciate you stopping by. We're gonna cut the break right now. We'll catch you later. I'll see you on Friday.
See you, man. Good luck.
Take care.
All right, welcome back to Running Through the Jungle. I hope you enjoyed that short break, and hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit of Ravens take from Mr. Pay Saunders, friend of the show. Pay brings a lot of good knowledge. He's really in depth with what he gets into. I do disagree with him every once in a while, especially when he wants to pay every quarterback in the league $75 million. But other than that, we're normally pretty good. But now that we got the Ravens out of the room, we got one thing we need to start talking about right now. Tim, did you hear?
Yeah, I heard. I've seen
Joe
it.
Burrow throw the football. Come on now. Yeah, I love it, man.
I seen it today. I was like, oh, because I think Zach said last week he was like, oh, we don't have really a timetable, but he's on track to doing this and that. The next today it was he's throwing, he's lifting, and he was throwing the ball without anything on his hand and anything like that. So he's on track. Let's. I want to see Joe Burrow back on that field, throwing that ball to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins or Brock Bauer or Gesicki. Joe Burrow, he is the heart and soul of this Cincinnati Bengals team. He really is. And I know I always heard, Zach Taylor saying that, he's a great man. He's a great player. He's a great locker room guy and everything. And everybody looks up to him. And, but then, you got these reporters are like, have you ever, they've been, I know I watched like Kay Adams at one time and she's never had Joe Burrow on the show, but she's talked to his, mom and dad and, agent and, shoe buffer, but she's never talked to Joe Burrow. So, Joe Burrow's a private man when it comes off the field, but I'm glad to see he's on track and let's go.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting news, man. And just, getting a little more in depth, like researching the procedure they had at surgery on his wrist. Very similarly to the way Tommy John surgery is now. They said a lot of times you end up coming back stronger grip, stronger in your ligament tendons and strong, like everything gets a little stronger. So, obviously when your franchise leaves the game with his hand looking the way it did, not a good look. I've been nervous all offseason. I think this is the first time I've relaxed just a little bit more about Joe. I just, knock on wood, I just want him to go through
healthy season,
regular off season. I want him to be able to prepare, going into this year. I want him to be able to prepare correctly. I just don't know. I'm just praying for this man to have just a regular start, like be able to do the other things the other teams and other people are doing in the offseason.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit because I know when I sent you the rundown, there's probably one question or comment in there that stood out like, well, I don't know where he's taking this, right? So I'm going to start this one off. Normally I always throw it to you guys, but I'm going to start off this. I put getting the best left tackle that was available last year in free agency, following that up with this year getting the best right tackle available in free agency. What does that mean to you? Very, very kind of open-ended question, very weird. But here's what I'm thinking about. Like, both on team-friendly deals. Obviously, Trent Brown is a little longer in the tooth and a little more injured. But when you see that the most a deal can be worth is $4.7 million for 1 year.
Yeah.
You start seeing like, man, we're both in our 40s. I don't remember the Bengals being a place where veteran players came to take deals like this because they wanted to go play with Joe Shiesty, a team that's got a chance to win a Super Bowl. So that's what it felt like to me. I mean, what is your take on that?
Last year was huge when we picked up Orlando Brown Jr. That was a huge signing for us. And as you said, Cincinnati Bengals wasn't a destination. It wasn't on most players' list of coming to Cincinnati, it wasn't a destination. We've always been
Might have
known
been in their no trade clause.
It might have been, yeah, it might have been. They were like, hell, Cincinnati, hell no. But as we know in the past, it hasn't been great for us. Or, I have my opinions on that too. Yeah, Cincinnati was not doing. We weren't the best during during the '90s and some of the 2000s and whatever. But now Cincinnati is a destination. They want to come play in Cincinnati. For them to add Trent Brown, 6'8", 300 and what I think he ranges between 340 to 355. Huge
He
bookend.
weighed in at 370 last time I saw.
Whew, okay,
That's
370.
a big dude.
It's a big dude, and I know I was looking at some of his stats. I think he only allowed like 3 sacks last year or whatever it was.
Second lowest solo blocking win rate for a right tackle.
Yeah, so this is the AFC North. TJ Watt we see twice a year. Matt, speaking of the Ravens, Matt Beakway, we're going to see him twice a year. Plus, Roquan Smith and everybody else the Ravens have, and of course Myles Garrett. So we got to have those big guys on those bookends. And I know Myles Garrett moves around a lot and all that, but I think Trent Brown's going to give us a little bit added security with this team. He's a big dude. He's big. He's strong. I think he's the answer to help to protect Joe a little bit longer, so he can get that ball out faster and be ready to complete those passes.
Yeah, and I really, when you look at the 1 year low contract, 4.7 million is the most he can get out of bonusing.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of laying it out that, hey, we're still going to take a right tackle, and we need you to groom him.
Yeah,
and I mean that says a lot. For I think where we're at as an organization, as we've said, but B, I mean just the character of Trent Brown.
Yeah,
I mean that's a guy who's single focused at this point.
Yeah.
He wants to win, and that's great. I love it. I really hope he gets stays healthy and makes the impact that we need at that right tackle position. Not
Amen.
that it wasn't necessarily a turnstile last year.
Right.
Jonah for moving, I thought he did adequate, journeyman job.
Yeah.
I expect him to go to Arizona and have a pretty decent year for them. But I think we're in a better situation now than we were. I mean, you freed up probably. You freed up over $10 million, and I think you probably got the better end of that deal. The other thing, I think it also, looking at taking Mixon away, looking at getting that guy on the right side that is that one-on-one pass blocker. Looking and what I've heard, what Duke Tobin talking about, wanting explosiveness, explosive plays. You keep hearing those things. Man, I don't think 65-35 is going away. I think that's the pass to run ratio. That's just what we're going to be.
It's obvious, we have the top 2 quarterback in the NFL. We have probably, I'm going to say, I'm not going to be biased here. We have the top 5 wide receiver in the league. We added Gesicki to the mix now. We have T. Higgins, who is a top 25 wide receiver when he's healthy. If we add Brock Bowers to the situation,
don't bless my heart.
But we're going to be throwing the ball probably just like you said, 60 to 65% of the time. And of course, me, I want them to run the football. I want to see what Zach Moss is going to be able to do. But Zach Moss and Chase Brown, they're going to get mixed up into the situation anyways with the the screen passes, the out, the quick little swing passes, so they'll be getting into that passing as well. And then Trayvon Williams, he'll be probably more of our third down blocking back. So of course, this is a passing league. The NFL, it's a passing league. It's like,
I could also see to your point there. I could also see some more draw plays. Some of those things that I don't think Joe Mixon, good running back. I mean, my favorite thing about him was 600 plus carries without a fumble. Like, that's incredible. Solid guy, but I think his running style is that downhill jump, cut, and go. Where I don't know that slow start and go is really in his wheelhouse. Where I think now both Zach Moss and Chase Brown can go from 0 to 100 real fast.
Yeah, and I know last year one of our biggest complaints was, why are we running these stretches and doing all this stuff with Joe Mixon? Joe Mixon, he don't get me wrong, I liked Joe Mixon since we drafted him. I liked what he did when he was healthy, and he had his 1,000 yards and all that stuff. But when it came to stretch plays, he just wasn't fast enough. Now, since we have Chase Brown and Zach Moss, I think they're going to utilize Chase Brown more for those stretch plays. Zach Moss has got the speed too, but he's still kind of almost like Joe Mixon a little bit, but younger.
I think he's a little shiftier. He's a little shiftier. I think he's got a little more movement in the hips, where I think the lateral movement I saw to Joe Mixon was normally hips pretty square. He wasn't a big twist and turn guy.
Yeah.
So I before we go into this next subject, I want to give everybody a quick PSA. If you need to get a beverage, whatever, get relaxed before you hear this rant that we're about ready to go on. Go ahead, pause it, grab what you need to get. As a matter of fact, hold on a second. I'm going to get mine.
Grab some popcorn while you're at it.
All right, that's better. The NFL has banned the hip drop tackle. Did you see the definition of the hip drop tackle?
I did.
So it's tackling around the waist, spinning your body, and going to the ground where you fall on the opponent's extremities, legs, ankles, feet, and so forth. So anytime that you've grabbed someone and you've seen them get drugged for a first down, my understanding is that's illegal now. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to be officiated. The NFL said that it happens over once a game, over 250 times a year. I personally cannot wait until this costs someone a game. I don't know, maybe like the Rams beating the Titans in a Super Bowl. The greatest show on turf wouldn't win a Super Bowl if this was a rule then.
Right.
Tim, I'm assuming you love this.
Oh, don't even get me started. I think this is asinine. I think it is ridiculous. It's been legal for all these years. It does not matter. I understand the NFL is trying to protect the offensive player. I understand that. I get that. But the thing is how, what are you supposed to do now? You can't hit high, you can't hit low, and now you pretty much can't tackle from behind or do a hip tackle, a hip drop tackle, whatever the hell it's called. So now, okay, you're just protecting the offense and people's extremities. So you're telling me this is, if I come up on you, Brandon, and tackle you at the hip, but then I fall on your extremity, is that going to be considered a hip tackle?
From my understanding, is if
Because
you don't fall forward or with my body, if you come over top it all, like if you twist while you're holding on, then
right.
yes.
Well, but part of their definition is falling on a player's extremity. Well, if I come up, if Derrick Henry's running at me, and I'm coming up, I hit him at the hip. I wrap him, and make him fall backwards and fall on his legs extremity. Are they going to rule that as a hip tackle, or a hip drop tackle?
I don't think so. I think you have to twist. I think it's part of the hip has to twist.
Well, let's see how many. Let's watch to see how many NFL referees screw this up, because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be a mess, and then there's going to be all these players getting fined for this hip drop tackle. And another thing that I'm peed off about is that the NFL is using Logan Wilson as the poster boy for this hip drop tackle BS. It's BS. It was what it is. And
I think that's a lot of the national media that's doing that. If you see the actual NFL footage, they put a 50-some second video out about the hip drop tackle, what it was, what wasn't, and everything. And that tackle by Logan Wilson was not on Mark Andrews, was not in the video. But there was 2 videos of Bengals players getting tackled in 2022. I think it was Drew Sample and who else was it? I'll think of it in a minute. There's 2 Bengals that got tackled. And I think the NFL almost did that on purpose, not to say that's the reason why they changed the rule. You know what I mean? Because they already have that quarterback can't be hitting the legs Brady rule. Right. So I think they went above and beyond to make sure they didn't put that in there and all of a sudden have the Logan Wilson rule or the Mark Andrews rule or whatever it would be. I don't know. I get trying to save the players, and they're really trying to save the players that are very popular in the game. The wide receivers, the tight ends, those are the guys that were all drafted on fantasy football teams. Those are the guys that we're all rooting for to score touchdowns, that do dance celebrations, that date pop stars. So those are the people they're trying to save. The NFL won't say that, though. They're going to say it's for player safety, all player safety. Let's go back to Jason Kelce. Not Travis, Jason. The tush push, the brotherly shove. Every time he ran it, he hiked the ball and screamed "F my life" at the top of his lungs. Do you think he did that because it felt good under that pile getting shoved by everybody? So if you really want player safety, let's be safe for all the players. Let's make all the safety better.
Right.
That's not good for anybody to be on the bottom of that pile with a bunch of 250 to 350 pound human beings pushing into you and over top of you.
Yeah.
So the hypocrisy is the crap I don't like about it. I don't mind trying to, make the game safer, but don't talk out of both sides of your mouth.
Yeah. It's just, this is football. It's football. Things are going to happen. Stuff's going to happen. But I just don't understand. I guess as a fan, and as long as we've been watching football, not just the Bengals, but how long we've been watching football, is what's next for the NFL? Is this going to be the two-hand touch league, or is this going to become the NFL National Flag Football League? It's like, okay, I understand you're trying to protect players. I do. I understand that. But it's like, for instance, if when it comes to baseball, instead of wearing your pitcher out, let's just put it on a tee and let them hit it off the tee. So now, when it comes to the defense in the NFL, it's a brutal sport. It's not something that you can make these rules or whatever, but you're going to either ruin the game or you're going to ruin the whole sport, because it's like you can only do so much, and then they propose this new kickoff rule. Like I'm like, I was watching it and I was looking at it, I was like, oh, it's the same thing the XFL does, which is cool.
That's in, right?
Which that got passed. That got passed.
I don't care.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So anyways, I just think that the NFL and these highfalutin people that are up in their box seats, while us down below are paying $400 for a ticket, it's just ruining the game.
And listen, there may be some influence there because baseball made a few changes last year that have really positively impact baseball. But I think baseball also had a lot more problems than the NFL did.
Exactly. Exactly.
They were losing viewership and sponsorship and all that kind of stuff, where the NFL has not worried about that in decades. Decades. So, all right, before we get going, last thing. I expect the Bengals to hit a good draft pick this year, a good draft pick who's impactful for us, helps us out right away. But outside of a draft pick, maybe somebody in a second, third season, maybe a comeback player, new signage, whatever. Who do you think could have a breakout season for the Bengals this year on the rosters it sits today?
Of course, we're all going to say Joe. Every Cincinnati Bengals. If you ask a Cincinnati Bengals fan this question, we're all going to say Joe Burrow. Because of what happened last year with Joe Burrow. I think he's going to have a breakout year. But besides Joe Burrow, let's look outside of the box.
So Joe Burrow would be an MVP season for me to be a breakout.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So when you're thinking outside the box, let's put it about this way. Let's think about this in betting odds. I mean, you can take a long shot flyer if you want to, or get somebody in the middle of the pack. So look at it that way.
Yeah, like last year, I was so gun ho with the Cincinnati kid, and and he was dealing with injuries all year long, which a lot of us didn't know about that until week 15 or 16, whatever it was, maybe the end of the year. And Trey Hendrickson, Justin hit it right on the nose with Trey Hendrickson, besides him not winning Defensive Player of the Year, but he still racked up the sacks like it was his damn job. Yeah. I'm going to say, you know what? Since I am the run the damn ball type of person.
There it goes. I'm
going to say Chase Brown is going to have a breakout season. I think they're going to be using him differently. He's no longer a rookie. This is his second year with the Bengals. And I have this feeling that he's going to have a good year, even though, we brought Zach Moss, but let's not forget about Chase Brown. Chase Brown, I think he's going to have a breakout year. He might hit 1,000 yards. I don't know, but he's going to have a breakout year this year.
All right. I like it. I had some names written down. Joe Burrow was not one of them. That's how dumb I can be sometimes. Chase Brown was one of them. With Tyler Boyd leaving, man, could I see a healthy T. Higgins have just a monster year. I could also see Jamar Chase have a monster year. But if I'm going to put my money on a long shot, knowing that a breakout season for this person would be, 450 yards in receiving. There was a guy that a couple years ago looked real good in preseason. I really liked, and Zach's brother picked him up when we put him on the practice squad, and he went down to Jacksonville, didn't play, came back this season as of right now. I like Kendrick Pryor out of Wisconsin, and I think with Tyler Boyd leaving, us moving Jamar Chase around more, I could see Kendrick Pryor working his way in there with, Chuck Sizzle and what's his name? Come on now, Yoshi. And Yoshi. So I could see him getting squeezed in there and getting 400 yards this year. I like that. I like Kendrick Pryor. Now, who do I hope it is? Because if it's this person, I think we're gonna have a darn good year. I hope the additions on this defensive line and some of the things that are going to come in the draft get Myles Murphy out in the field, rushing a little bit more. So if Myles Murphy has a breakout season in year 2, we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I know we were so focused on sorry, I'll take that back. I was focused on offensive wise. But defensive wise, for me, I think it would be more like, I'm gonna say Von Bell. I'm gonna say Von Bell. Him coming back, more run support, little comeback player. Left us for a year, came back. He's that veteran on that field, and we all know what Von Bell can do. We all know what he can do, and he's going to be a year older now than when we had him before. But I think Von Bell could be that comeback, that career, and have a good season.
Just him and Stone mentoring those younger guys. Yep. I think the writing's on the wall that I think they view Dax Hill as Mike Hilton's replacement.
Yeah, nickel,
move him around. You can disguise some coverages with him. I think that's what they view him as.
Blitzing, I think he's covering tight ends.
Learn from these guys a little bit more and jump in on some tight ends here and there.
Yeah.
And I really think just from having those veteran voices, I think DJ Turner will probably show some good growth. He definitely played much better earlier in the year than later in the year. I think he hit that rookie wall. So with that, you kind of be accustomed to 17 games and have those veterans back there that are able to communicate a little bit better.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing we were missing last year.
I think all those guys are going to really benefit from those signings for sure.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing that they were saying that we were missing last year, and I agree. The communication was just not there. Yeah. And now you have Geno Stone, you have Von Bell back, you got Mike Hilton still. Now we got Sheldon Rankins down in there. It's going to be. I think this is going to be it could be a promising defense.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hey, always good talking Bengals with you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate all of our listeners out there tuning in each and every week. Please go ahead and if you haven't, hit that like, hit that subscribe, thumbs up, share button, share it on your social media, share it directly with a friend. You can send it in Messenger, whatever you need to do. Please reach out to somebody and tell them about us. Really excited that Pay came on. I know Kevin Tate was here last week. We went over a little bit of the Steelers, and I'm trying to get the Browns back on. John Suchan, who was with the elf, the something else, Mad Elf, maybe.
Yeah, I remember.
He was on and did a earlier in the year during the season. He did a crossover with us. I was going to reach out to him, and I saw on social media that he was in Portugal, so I decided to leave that man alone. So I got a couple of arms out there trying to reach out to some knowledgeable Browns fans. So hopefully we'll get somebody on next week. We can look at the Browns in the offseason they've had and get some feedback on that and what they think of the AFC North. But until next week, let's just keep our eyes out there on Joe throwing the ball and how everything works. And we'll catch you next week as we are running through the jungle.